Welcome back to The Edge Live in your Bleacher Report app. I am your host, Micah Parsons, and this episode is sponsored by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. First and foremost, it felt great to be back out there on the field. But, before we get into any, Eagles Cowboy play, I want to just hit it right on the head. The controversy statement between me and Mike McCarthy. And first and foremost, if anyone ever felt a type of way about this situation, I would like to apologize like I did when I met with Coach McCarthy, apologize to his face, man to man. Whether people understood what I said and didn't, this is why we're here. Obviously, I said Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. I kind of feel bad for guys like Zach Martin, guys who be on their last year on their way up, because that's who I want to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things for those type of legends who put more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. When I say statements like that, and when I put things like that, thinking about my teammates, right? I understand the coaching aspect, but when you think of guys like Zach Martin, I think of guys like DeMarcus Lawrence. Before Tyron left, I think of guys like Tyron Smith. I think guys like Zeke. I mean, you can even go way back to, I never played with Jason Witten, but think about Jason Witten. Every day you look at all these legends who put in so much time and work into the blue and white. With the Cowboys, they represent how they represented the Dallas Cowboys. Even DeMarcus Ware, you think about all these great legends. And fortunate enough, I got to play with quite a few. I'm still playing with CeeDee Lamb. I'm still playing with Zach Martin. But when I think about all those guys that helped me get better, helped me grow as a player, how much Zach helped me with my technique, critiqued me, even when I was wrong, helped me get better. Guys like Tyron, Dak, Zeke, guys that kind of molded me into the player I am. And, kind of took this young rookie guy that, and kind of helped move me to a place where some would say a superstar, but I would say still a humbling beginning to be able to be on the same playing field as those guys, and understanding that since I've been in the league, every year a team changes, right? There's never going to be the same amount of players. Not the same amount of players, the same players on the same team. There'll be a couple that come back because obviously cap reasons, you got to pay guys retire. But since I've been, MG retired, obviously we let him go, but MG retired. But all those great players that was, I didn't even think we would lose Tyron. So, you just play with so many great players. You never know when it's going to be their last year. I understand that guy like Zach's in his last year of his deal. He could look at retirement. I don't know yet, but, obviously we understand how much time he's put into Dallas Cowboys. He's a legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He just done so many great things. So when I think about guys who I want to win a title for, he's at the top of my list. When Tyron's here, I want to win a title for him and Zach. So it just didn't matter to me about the player. It just a matter about the importance and how much, they bring to the program. These guys have just been always true leaders, always been devoted to helping everyone grow. So to me, and it has nothing to do with coaching, right? I look at a situation like, Dan, Dan's like an uncle to me. And at the end of the day, Dan can always do what's best for him. I always knew he was a great coach. I never questioned his coaching ability, but he decided to take on a better job. Who knows at the end of this year, Mike is one of the most winningest coaches in NFL history. And that's the God honest truth. We went 12-5 3 years in a row. That don't happen because Mike's a bad coach, because he's a good coach. And just because one person has trial and error in 1 year, that just doesn't define him. So it honestly hurts me to read these clippings of Rex Ryan and Damian Woody, and we're going to pull them up because it just honestly is infuriating. A guy like Woody, right, a former player, he's a Super Bowl champ, he should know the significance of one, throwing out someone's injury. Like I wanted to get injured. Now that's blatant disrespect. I've never missed a game in my career, not college, not high school, not even to about 4 or 5 weeks ago to injury. To say that I'm just missing games because of injury, like it's just some injury after I suffered a significant injury playing the game that we love. Someone who's been around teams and legends at that can say, like, that's how I know we all have to see through the BS of what these TV analysts are trying to do and, provide us and basically take words. I never once threw or even intended to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. Like I said, he's one of the most winningest coach. He is a Super Bowl champ. I never once brung up his past. And the question that was asked was about here in the Dallas Cowboys, did I see Mike McCarthy in our future? And I said, that's above my pay grade. So never once did I ever intended or wanted to reflect on Mike McCarthy's career because I always knew it was a good one. I've always had a great relationship with Mike McCarthy, and I never even put that in question. And for a guy like Rex Ryan, I just know he wanted to coach the Cowboys. Like, I'm perfectly happy that we have Zimmerman, because if we have a guy that's willing to go on TV and provide this type of nonsense, imagine what he could do to a locker room. Like, that's just honestly just outrageous to me at the end of the day. Like I said, man, when you play football, all coaching aside, and you can look at college, you can look at even the pros, coaches are, their careers are way longer. They can decide to take a better job. They can move on. You kind of see that a lot from DCs, OCs, head coaching positions. Sometimes better job openings just open up. And you truly never know. You never know how the dice is going to roll with coaches. But when you talk about guys you consistently going to war with, man, like guys that I seen Tyron and Zach barely can walk throughout the week, take a Toradol, go out there and play, being half a man basically and giving us our best effort. So when you see those type of things, you see guys pushing through injuries, pushing through just so much difficulty it is to play in this league. Yes, 100%. Every time I'm going to always choose the brother that we're going to bleed with, we're going to work with, because in the end, it's only a small group of us, There is no politics out there on that football field. I understand what he meant to the Dallas Cowboys organization, because I'm only worried about what happens at the Dallas organization, man. And, it truly bothers me how much negativity that we choose to put out there. Because not once did I want this quote to be a negative moment. I only want it to be a positive light and shine light on guys like Zach Martin, who may or may not be a Cowboy next year, but is going to be a Ring of Honor guy, a Hall of Fame guy, and that just know that he just added so much value to the Cowboys that will be missed. And, and there's plenty of guys to go along that list, man. And, I just wanted to highlight. And then I look at D-Law, man. He's going to his last year, too. How much D-Law helped me grow. How much he helped me grow into being a player I am today and being a big brother, whether it's on or off the field, giving me his wisdom, his tricks of the trade of how he lasted so long, man. Like, people don't get it, bro. Like, those relationships that you build with those guys in the locker room, it's nothing like the coaches. Yeah, coaches is always going to have their favorites of some, superstar level guys and have certain relationship with certain players. But that relationship in the locker room is completely different. And unless you actually played on a team or actually had you played in sports growing up, you would never know. Like, some of my best friends to this day are people that I still play football with. So people, unless you truly play the sport, you would never understand where I was trying to come with that, because those relationships and the impact that people make on your lives in that locker room, it just goes such a long way. It really does. So the intent, whether it came out right or wrong, and maybe I should expand it, and I made the mistake, and I apologize publicly to Mike McCarthy. You should never compare coach to player, but I wasn't trying to compare that. I was just literally trying to ignite, someone who meant a lot to me's career, and that's who I kind of have more sympathy for. If he retires, he'll never play this game again. And me knowing how good of a coach McCarthy is, he'll probably get another opportunity, if not with us. So, that stuff really bothers me. I can't even lie to you. And I'm thankful that I have this platform, because people would take your words and twist them and find ways to use them against you. Because, I think that's the importance of players having platforms, so you can fight against this negativity that people put out. Never once do I ever want to bring drama, anything that's not focused on football, to my football team. At the end of the day, like I said, we've been winners. We're going through trial and error. There's been a lot of injuries. We're missing a lot of starters. and it's showing, man. But never will I ever want to bring negativity to the man that gave me an opportunity. Mike was one of the first people to call me, saying from a PA guy to another, welcome me with open arms, man. I would never want to rain on his parade, man. He was one of the first people that helped drafted me to the Cowboys, and from Pittsburgh, PA to Harrisburg. No, you just don't do that to Berg boys. I would never intentionally do that. So as long as I felt like I needed to get off my chest, because it left a distaste in my mouth, because how much Mike means to me, how much this team means to me, and I never want to bring that type of drama to my unit at all. And and that's all I'm gonna say on it, man. I hope people understand what I mean to it. But people shouldn't do that, man. Take your words and try to use them against you like that, and understand the meaning. I'm always gonna put players first, man. That's who it's about. These people every day, we risk their lives on Sundays to play this game, and you push through a lot. To me, it's always going to be the players, man. You can't do it without the players. Nah, man, that's just wrong. And from a former coach and a former player who played 12 years, I would think they would understand more and do more to bring out the positivity of the statement, not negativity. But like I said, I get what drives ratings. I get it, but it's just not right. But after all, man, it really just felt good to be back with my team yesterday. I felt the energy, I felt the passion out there in the field. It really just felt like we were clicking. I understand that we lost in that fashion, and we're missing our starting quarterback, who I hope no one ever disrespects again. You see his importance and how much he means to our team, but man, we greatly do miss Dak. I hope people understand how much he brings to this team, because I think, it's one of them things we don't appreciate until it's gone. And now that he's out, you kind of see the impact it makes when he's not on the field, and it's a great one. And there was a lot of things going on yesterday. People were talking about the sun glare in the stadium. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Sometimes it's glare when we play, outside. It is what it is. I understand. It was just that moment for CD, but, other teams feel that effect too. I think it's just a neutral thing. I understand we can control it. Everyone's going to have their opinion on it, but, it's one of them things that it is what it is. Obviously, if ownership won't change it, it's something that we have to deal with it. We have to understand that, there will be a glare at some point in the game. It's just one of the things. It is what it is. Obviously, as a defensive player, I don't really, reap any, bad benefits from it. So I don't understand it from their perspective. So, it's just like that. So let's get into the so much more segment of our show. Let's get back into some positive things. Let's talk about someone who's doing so much more for the team, just like how Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're a financial services company too. And I want to highlight two people. One is Justin Herbert has not thrown an interception since week 2, and it's the only interception of the season. This is the longest streak of games without an interception in Chargers history. Herbert's currently thrown over 1,800 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The Chargers are 6-3. Is Herbert underrated? I wouldn't say he's underrated. I think at this point we all know who Herbert is. He's been an elite quarterback. He got paid like one. I think this is a glimpse of what his potential was. I'm glad he got with Harbaugh. Harbaugh is that, fashion of quarterback. We're going to play winning football. And if that means we take a little bit off the stat sheet of our quarterback, where he's not going to have to throw a bunch of times, we can commit to the run game and have a good run game, and our quarterback still plays great football, then that's just what we have to do. And you kind of seen that doing with J.J. McCarthy and previous players in his past, but it's showing. They have a winning record. They're contending for playoffs. So it shows you that Harbaugh effect. We don't need our quarterback to drop back every play. We understand his talents and what he can do, but, we can still commit to this run game and have foundational pieces around him. And it's impressive because people probably thought this would be a down year for the Chargers. Going into it, they got rid of Keenan Allen. They got rid of Mike Williams. So you lose your best weapons. You draft the O-lineman, so you don't replace it. So people are probably going and saying, hey, this season's done for. These guys are tanking. They just want to build around Justin Herbert. But you see, they made all the right moves. Ladd is planning to having a great year. They wanted more out of Quentin Johnson, and he's stepping up in a big way. And obviously the running game with J.K. Dobbins, he's having a very underrated, one of the best backs this year's season. So you got to shine light on these guys. They're doing it the right way. They lost a couple close ones, but they're currently the 6th seed. They're contenders. And Herbert's been always a top 10 quarterback. When you look back at it and you see his arm talent and the throws that he's able to make, his 6'6" frame, being able to look over things, I mean, he's always been a very, very dangerous quarterback. And he's been very mobile. So it really does not surprise me one bit. And the second person, man, is Jamar Chase. Mr. Always Open, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards. I mean, just having a day against the Ravens. And you say this Ravens defense is one of the best defenses in the league, and they are. But having a day like, multiple touchdowns game, over 200 yards against the Ravens is just so impressive. His ability to, high point, his rec, catch after run, man, it's just been so impressive all year. And it makes you say, why didn't the Bengals get ahead and pay him? You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably could have got him cheaper, around 33, 34 million when all these other guys went. CD went, Justin Jefferson went, and you knew he was always that caliber of player. Like, why even play with your superstar? And now Jamar Chase, you say, bring in a Brink truck. He's probably going to be a $37, $38 million player when it's all said and done, and probably going to cost him another $4 or $5 million to keep this caliber of player. So it's honestly, you ask your question, like, why didn't you pay this guy early? You knew he was a guy. He was an all-pro his rookie year. He was a Pro Bowler his rookie year, and he sustained that these last 3 years. You say, why not get ahead? Like how, the Eagles did with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Miami did it with Jalen Waddle, got him for $27 million. Amon St. Brown got done, and he got about $28 to $30 million a year. You honestly ask yourself, why didn't you pay Jamar Chase? You knew everyone was trying to get ahead of the wide receiver market, but they didn't. And now, you think about Jalen Waddle. They was in the same class. Jalen Waddle was, 2 picks after Jamar Chase, and, he signed for 27.5. And you think, Jamar Chase is going to be over probably about $10 million more to keep him next year. So you got to think, you might as well pay your superstars earlier, man. We all knew Jamar Chase was a guy, and he's just doing so much more. Him and Joe Burrow, it's sickening. He said, I would never think, in my wildest years, me and Joe's playing this well, and we're losing like this. And it's just a tough feat, man. But, him and Joe Burrow playing at the same level. Obviously, they got to find ways to win games. They're losing them late in the game. But, man, they're playing at such a high level. So I wanted to give a big shout out to, Jamar Chase. And then you think about what the Chiefs, continue this streak. They was able to block the game-winning field goal to stay 9-0. Can the Chiefs go undefeated this season? You look at the remaining schedule. The Bills scare me a little bit. Josh Allen has been a nightmare. The Chargers, I think they can sneak one off. And then I want to say Steelers and they got the Texans, Steelers, and Broncos. So the Broncos is definitely going to be antsy to get that lick back. And the Steelers and the Texans would definitely scare me a little bit because they got C.J. Stroud. And we're going to get a little bit into that game a little bit, literally right next. But there's 5 games where, anything can happen in the NFL. Right now, Mahomes, obviously, they're not playing the best, but they're finding ways to win games. So you say, if they do make it to playoffs, and I'm not worried about, what none of this means. The 1998, I'm not worried about that because we know what Mahomes is capable of. They said MVP couldn't win the same year, and he won a Super Bowl. You just can't believe it. Like, he finds ways to win games. He beat all the odds every time. So, man, I don't believe in no stat line against. He's beaten all those before. So, but I do think someone might hit the upset button on them eventually and catch up to them, but it hasn't seen yet. Their defense is playing lights out. Offense, they're still finding ways with these new pieces, getting reinventive. They're still waiting for some guys to come back. So you better catch them before Pacheco come back and some of these other guys because, once Mahomes start clicking, man, it's hard to beat him. And let's get to the Lions. The Lions had a historic comeback against the Texans Sunday night. What does this game say about the Lions? And honestly, people should be downright scared of the Lions. I think, honestly, this is the best team in football. Now, I haven't seen Mahomes throw 5 interceptions in a game to say, his team can't come back from this, because we've seen it out of 2 interceptions, maybe 3 interceptions. Mahomes still has found ways to win games, his team, at least. But 5 interceptions and still win a game. That is such a hard feat. The analytics, and we're big on analytics at the Dallas Cowboys, and, the history of it. If you can produce 3 turnovers and win a turnover battle, you should not lose the game, basically, what people say. So when you look at, this game, yes, CJ threw 2 picks, but they were still +3 in the turnover battle and still found a way to lose this game. I think that says something more about the Texans than it does the Lions, because the Lions, 5 interceptions, that's just so hard to, come back from. But the fact that they did it, it says more about how resilient they are. And they're without Hutchinson. They're missing Hutchinson, but you see how dynamic Gibbs is. You see how dynamic that offense is. They don't give up. They believe in their guys. Their coaches believe in their guys. It just shows how resilient. I didn't see one player put their head down. They just kept lifting Goff up, kept lifting them up. And this is a Goff we haven't seen before. Some of the missed throws, he's always been Mr. Accuracy, on point. And you say, what does it look like when he plays bad? And then you see the way that defense stepped up with the turnovers. Davis with 2 picks of his own, getting 3 and outs, getting the ball back to Goff, trusting him that he's going to get points on the board. Honestly, it was something beautiful to see. It was a great game. I think the Lions are the best team in football right now, man. Honestly, I think they are the best team in football. That was a huge and gutsy win. They went through trials and tribulations, and not one of them said we were out of this game. They kept fighting, and that's something that you always want to see into your team. So, and no, I don't think this takes them out the MVP race at all. I seen MVP award winners with more interceptions than this, but, one bad game, like I said, don't define you. He's been Mr. Perfect damn near all season. So, I expect him or want to see him back on track next week. And, you talk about that MVP race with Goff, and you say, who's the next person that's going to be MVP? And that's Lamar Jackson. And then you see the MVP race, and, a reporter says to Mike Tomlin, would you compare Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson? And it's just like, hold on. 100%. We have to be real here. He's a 2-time MVP. He's already had his MVP season in week 10. Do people not understand that? He won MVP with these damn near resemblance of these stats last year. But he's in week 10, and he's already going to go beyond these numbers. Over 2,600 passing yards, 24 touchdowns. He only has 2 interceptions, and he has 2 rushing touchdowns. Look, now, Jaden Daniels does have 2,100 yards, 9 TDs, 2 interceptions, and 4 rushing. But, right now, as we've seen the throws, what Lamar's doing right now, it's not even comparable. Lamar should be the clear front runner for MVP. This is by far has been the most and best season since I've been in the league, since I've seen him. He's just looked unstoppable. He's confident. His receivers seem confident. Just everything about them just seemed way more confident, man. Lamar is just that guy. And you say the person below him is Goff. Goff and Mahomes, but no one's touching Lamar right now. That win against the Bengals, wow. I think there was a great weekend of football. That Lions-Texans game was super impressive. That Baltimore Bengals game, how high scoring, the players, I think it was an electrifying week for football. And, these quarterbacks are just lighting up right now. So, shout out to Lamar for, keep going. And obviously, Jaden Daniels, not taking anything away from him. I think he is a top 5 MVP candidate. I already said that, he's won Offensive Rookie of the Year. That wasn't even a question. It was just a matter of fact, we're here with landing MVP. But when you guys like, Lamar playing the way he is, it's not even in a question. And then also this week, we got the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And, that's just going to be a good fight just because it's Iron Mike, man. I want to see if he really knock out Jake Paul. I want to see a vintage Iron Mike. I don't want to see no soft stuff, I can't see Jake Paul beating Mike Tyson just because that type might ruin my childhood. Like, I need Mike to knock him out just for my childhood. Obviously, growing up, everyone talks about Iron Mike. We all watch his highlights. I mean, when you talk about a vintage fighter, you talk about Mike. He comes up. He's one of the baddest dudes ever to walk the planet. So just for my childhood to be surreal, I need him to knock out Jake Paul. And I got nothing against Jake. I think he's a great influencer. He's a great boxer. He's done really great things in the boxing community. But it's just one of them things where if you had to pick but choose, two guys that you like, it just has to be Mike Tyson, bro. Iron Mike, he took over the boxing world, and I just can't have him lose this weekend. So that's going to be a great fight. I can't wait. And whoever wins, I need to see it in knockout fashion. It has to be just an all-out brawl, just start throwing them punches and seeing what happens. But let's get right into it. It's Week 11 versus the Texans. It's going to be a great game. Monday night, it's the battle of Texas. Who is the best in Texas? So this is always a great matchup. We won the last battle last time they came to Dallas. So it's going to be a great matchup. You already know my guy, CJ Stroud. You know how competitive it's going to be. But, at the end of the day, it's all love. But, he knows we're coming to win that game regardless. So it's going to be a very, very fun game. Obviously, they got some great players over there. Obviously got one of the best left tackles in the game of Laramie Tunzel. That's going to be a great matchup for me and great challenge. So it's always going to be, a great match. I can't wait because there was a lot of trash talking coming this offseason, and it's going to be a super exciting game. Obviously, it feels great being back, but, I couldn't miss this game for the world. I can't let CJ talk for another year straight of hearing him talk about this. So this game means more to me than does anybody know. I can't wait for Monday night. But the Texans are a great team. I can't take that away from them. They're a great defensive sound team. They've been great on offense. They're another team that's been battling injuries. Obviously not having, Will out there, not having, Nico Collins. They obviously lost Diggs. So this is another team that's been battling injuries and probably some of the worst places. So, this is going to be a great game with teams who's battling injuries. But it's going to be a really good game, and I can't wait to get out there. And, we got the Turkey Drive. Me and Osa come show love. We're going to have it in Duncanville High School, November 19th. Make sure you come out and show support or tell a friend who we're just trying to make Thanksgiving more loving, easier for families who are in need. Me and Osa always do one, we do different events, but we came together this year because we're teammates, we're in the same room, and it just all made sense. So at Duncanville High School, November 19th, we'll be handing out turkeys and many other things. So please come out, show your support. We want to feed the families, and stuff like this is just important because, don't forget where we came from. At the end of the day, we've been blessed by our Lord above in these positions, and you always want feeling to give back and, give back to families in needs and make sure everyone has that beautiful, loving, Thanksgiving that, I always appreciate Thanksgiving. My mom always does big with the turkey, the mac and cheese, the yams, but it's that time of the year where we're thankful for where we're at. We're thankful for what we give, and, we just got to be thankful and all. So let's get some final questions from the chat. What kind of leader is Dak while he's hurt? Dak's been at every walkthrough. He's been in all the meetings. So that tells you a lot about Dak. There's a lot of guys who go on IR, know they're not playing, and they just stop showing up. Dak's been around the building, walking around, helping Trey Lance, helping Cooper Rush, just being there for his offensive guys in general. So that tells you a lot about who he is and how he is as a player. He don't have to be there. He's out for the season, but he's still there. He's still being active. Saw you and Saquon after the game. What did he say to you? That's something I might not be able to disclose publicly. Any advice to Caleb Williams for the rest of the season? Like I told Caleb last week, I think the biggest thing is you can't lose trust in your players as a quarterback. You always got to find ways to bond and connect with the players around you because those are the ones that support you. I should never see a time where the offensive line is not picking the quarterback up right away. Not in the best interest of heart of, obviously, their quarterback. Receivers, heads dropping, walking off the field. It's okay just to make the right play Like I said last week, we've been spoiled by Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, the Russell Wilsons, the Cam Newtons. But we got to remember what was a great quarterback, man. I would just say, Caleb, just keep being great at what you were doing before. Just make the right throw, make the right pass, make the right read. And I think things will turn around for you. Penn State in the first college football playoff rankings. Thoughts? I knew we would be there. We're just going to keep building. We're going to keep getting better. That's who Penn State is. James Franklin's going to keep turning his team around. We will be national champions again one day, and it could be this year. I know y'all see number 11, Abdul Carter. He's been hooping. 2 sacks again in back-to-back weeks. He's on one. You know, I think him and Jalen Walker are the two of the best, defensive players in the draft and in college football. I haven't seen two players play as consistently and as good as them besides, some of that freshman rusher from South Carolina. It doesn't surprise me. We're loaded on defense. We got some great players, and our offense is clicking now. So it's going to be a very good to see us in that playoff rankings. Who wins Monday Night Football, Dolphins or Rams? You were high on Rams last week. Yeah, I'm going to just take the Rams again, man. As long as they got Cooper Kupp, they got 2 offensive linemen back in the lineup this week, which was much needed. They got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Matthew Stafford, and you just can't go against Sean McVay. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game at that because Tua is back in the lineup. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch it. But I'm never going to go against Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. They just find ways to win games. But it will be a great game. So I'm very excited to see it. And that is all for The Edge, man. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you. Like I said, I want to apologize, Mike McCarthy, if my words ever came off not intended how I wanted them to come out. I owe you a deep apology because you've been nothing but great to me and my family. And, I want to thank you to all my teammates who go to war with me every week, find a reason why to play through all the pain and injuries that we have because at the end of the day, we have such a small period. This could be any of our last years with this team. We never know how things going to play out with the offseason. People can be cut. People can be, they can be traded. You just kind of never know. Guys can retire. You just never know how these things will come out. And, it's always sad to say that it sucks. It sucks. The moment you leave that last game, you say this roster will be completely different again next year. And since I've been here, it's been like that. So it's very devastating. But at the end of the day, I appreciate all the guys who's been in my career and welcomed me so far. So I appreciate you. I thank everyone for tuning in.